Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome back to my channel. And there behind me is the wonderful, rest in peace, Frankie Beverly of Frankie Beverly and aMAZE in his commonly worn all white attire. When he performed, he often wore white, and the audience participated and wore white as well. I just want to pay homage to him and his wonderful career, but very private life. And I have learned in honoring a few over the past few years or so. I often keep it very brief, but the fascinating things that I learn about them when I do just a brief research in their life. And so I'll share these fascinating points that I learned about Frankie Beverly. So if you're familiar with him, here are some points you may not have known about. And if not, let me introduce you to him. So he was born December 6, 1946, just passed away on September 10th, last week, at 77 years old. He's was born in Philadelphia as Howard Stanley Beverly, and he changed his name to Frankie when he became what he called male infatuated with Frankie Lyman and watching him sing the song Why Do Fools Fall in Love. And he said that he would like play it over and over on his record player. He began singing in church, but he just loved Frankie Lyman and later went on to change his first name, his stage name, as Frankie Beverly. We know him now, Frankie Beverly and aMAZE. Growing up, he created several bands. He wanted to be a lead singer in a band. So he kept creating bands, several bands before he actually landed. The band called The Blender, which was almost where they were singing like a cappella, that he formed, and he had gone from the Philadelphia area and moved into San Francisco, California, where he happened to run into and meet Marvin Gaye's sister-in-law at the time. And she fell in love with their voice. Now, see, this is another one of these tidbits. She fell in love with their voice and in love with him, actually, and introduced her to Marvin. And Marvin loved the sound of their voice, like the name of their band called Raw Souls at the time, RAW, Raw Souls, and decided that he'd take them on the road with him as his opening act. And they did that, but then they changed their name to aMAZE. And Frankie was very insistent that they just be called aMAZE. And so they started off as aMAZE, not Frankie Beverly and aMAZE. But as they began to grow, everyone seemed to have this gotten acclimated to his a cappella parts and his lead vocals, and he eventually became Frankie Beverly and aMAZE, as we did begin to know them as a group as Frankie Beverly and aMAZE. Afterwards, after opening for Marvin Gaye, they landed like 9, 10 straight gold albums on their own as aMAZE, and they began to have their own concerts. And as we know, Marvin Gaye had a very unfortunate passing with a gunshot from his father. And so Frankie began to sing and open shows on their own, but also remembered how Marvin Gaye opened the doors for him. And he would always, often, not always, but he was often pay homage to him for his entry into the music world. What else? He began to wear all white, including the famous baseball cap, and his audience joined in by wearing all white to his concerts too. Some of his biggest songs were Before I Let Go and Joy and Pain and We Are One. We Are One. often were cha-cha music type songs. So they were songs that people would just do the cha-cha to. Very soulful R&B, easy going type of music. My personal favorite was Happy Feeling. I mean, I loved Happy Feeling. I could just, every time that came on, I would just really play it as loud as I could. On a personal note, he was very private. And I was actually surprised that I couldn't hardly find anything on him. And didn't spend much time, but I did kind of search around. I didn't really find anything in Hollywood, any whatever form of business you are in Hollywood, where it's an actor or comedian or performer of any type, your private life often gets sacrificed and poured into on, leaned upon, I would say. But he was pretty miraculous at keeping it private. He only had one child, a son named Anthony. And Anthony grew up and began playing the drums, and he was actually the drummer for aMAZE. Now, when I said earlier that aMAZE became Frankie, Beverly, and aMAZE, he wanted to make sure that the band had their own notoriety. But to be honest, I don't think any of us knew their names. We just knew them as aMAZE, but we knew him as Frankie Beverly. So I look at them as more of a marriage, Frankie Beverly and aMAZE. I don't look at them like I look at like Sade. Sade is her and the band as a group, and it's just Sade. You can't separate the two. But with Frankie Beverly and aMAZE, there is a distinction between him and the band, but then they are together. So I'm speaking of his son, Anthony Beverly. He played the drums with the band for many, many years. And he also went on to become a very successful music executive. He still is. I believe he's the head of A&R at a major music label even now. As far as marriage, now, there comes the little tricky part. Supposedly he never got married, but then supposedly he's been dating a retired anchor person named Pam Moore from San Francisco when he left Philadelphia and moved to San Francisco, where he met Marvin Gaye's sister-in-law, remember? He was later interviewed by this anchor person, Pam Moore, and there was supposedly a strong attraction to each other. And again, while he was then enthralled with Marvin Gaye's sister. So that's as much as I can get on his personal life. But according to the summation of what I was able to recover, it said he never really married Pam Moore, but that they dated some 20 plus years, and that she's definitely someone that he considered a partner in life, is what he called her. And so that's about it as far as his personal life. And I guess he was pretty smart for keeping it that way. I will end with this, that he was very impressed with Beyonce's rendition of Before I Let Go that she did in 2019. He loved the video, he loved the rendition. He had an interview with the American Music Academy where he said that it was the highlight of his career. Now that says a lot, because what a career he had on his own, but he said that her doing that song was extremely special and that it really was a highlight of his career. So I would say this, as he rests in peace for the beautiful music. Thank you for the golden time of day that you gave us in music. May your soul rest in peace. I hope you enjoyed this. Good night.